I'm Jason Hager, and this is Marketing Notes for Entrepreneurs from Grayleaf Media, where impact-driven leaders use trust, clarity, and strategy to turn good work into sustainable growth. This is the 7th episode in our series on how a wrong ICP cascades through your entire marketing system. Last time, we talked about how a wrong ICP breaks your product or service. Today, how it breaks your pricing. Pricing is usually treated as a math problem. Calculate your costs, add a margin, compare to competitors, land somewhere defensible. But pricing is not primarily a math problem. It's a communication problem. Every price you set sends a signal before a single conversation happens. It signals who this is for, what category it belongs to, what kind of value it delivers, whether the person looking at it should take it seriously or move on. When your ICP is wrong, every one of those signals is aimed at the wrong person. Your price is calibrated for a customer you assumed would buy. The customer who actually buys reads that price and has one of two reactions. This is more than I expected, or this is less than I expected. Neither reaction is neutral. One kills the conversation before it starts. The other raises a question about whether you understand your own value. Most businesses diagnose this as a pricing problem. They test different numbers, reframe the value proposition, add tiers, offer discounts. The numbers shift. The problem doesn't. Because the problem isn't the price. It's that the price was set for a customer who isn't in the room. This is episode 15, How a Wrong ICP Breaks Your Pricing. Let's talk about what happens when the price is right for the wrong person. Pricing as an ICP signal. HP TouchPad launched in 2011 at $499, same as the iPad. Sales were catastrophically slow. 49 days later, they ran a fire sale at $99. It sold out immediately. Waiting list within days. Same product. Same specs, only the price moved. And with it, the ICP. At $499, the touchpad was positioned against Apple for a customer already committed to the Apple ecosystem. That customer didn't need a touchpad. At $99, it reached a completely different buyer. Someone making a functional purchase instead of an ecosystem commitment. HP discovered their real ICP by accident, through a clearance sale, and then discontinued the product before they could build on it. The price you set is an ICP signal. It tells the market who this is for before anyone reads a word of your copy. Starbucks and Dunkin both sell coffee. Their prices are not interchangeable. Deliberately. Starbucks prices for experience and identity. Dunkin prices for reliable utility. Neither is wrong. Both are right for their actual ICP, and the price communicates that as clearly as any positioning statement either of them has ever written. When your ICP is wrong, your price sends that signal to the wrong person. Before conversation, before context, before you have any chance to make your case. The 3 ways it breaks. The first way. You price for the customer you want, not the one who's buying. A service business wants enterprise clients. Enterprise pricing feels appropriate to the ambition, but the actual buyers are mid-market. Mid-market buyers see that price point and assume the offering isn't for them, not because it isn't, but because the signal said so before anyone had a conversation. The reverse happens too. Expertise grows. The actual client base shifts toward a sophisticated buyer who understands what they're getting. But the pricing was set during an earlier period for a lower barrier to entry. Those early buyers aren't the ICP anymore. The price still signals them. Sophisticated buyers, the ones who would pay more, see the number and quietly wonder what it implies. I learned this one firsthand. When I was doing freelance barista training and specialty coffee retail consulting, I got hired to work with a new shop in West Texas. The staff had no real coffee background, not just inexperienced, but genuinely unfamiliar with what they were selling. Getting the material to stick took patience, repetition, and some real creativity in how I structured the teaching. It stuck. I was proud of that work. When I handed over the invoice, I watched the owner's face. He didn't say anything dramatic, but his expression, the slight widening of the eyes, the pause, then the sudden excitement he was trying to contain, said it plainly. It was the look of someone realizing the value was far beyond what the invoice suggested, and wanting to accept the deal before anyone reconsidered it. That was the signal, louder than anything he could have said out loud. My pricing was built for one market. The work I delivered belonged in another. I had priced the engagement for one ICP while delivering at the level of a different one. The gap between them was real money I walked away from. I knew it the moment I read his face. The second way. Your pricing model doesn't match how your actual customer wants to buy. Price isn't just the number. It's the structure. Per seat or flat fee. Project or retainer. One time or subscription. Basecamp charged a flat monthly fee regardless of team size when every competitor was charging per seat. That was a deliberate ICP signal. We are for the small teams and freelancers who hate per-seat unpredictability. The model communicated who it was for as clearly as the product did. Wrong ICP means wrong structure, and wrong structure creates friction that no number adjustment can fix. You can change the price and leave the mismatch completely intact. The third way. Your margin doesn't support the operation you're actually running. Price-sensitive customers at premium prices. They buy, then churn. They negotiate every renewal. The cost of serving them erodes margin in ways that don't surface cleanly until it's compounded for months. Value-driven customers at commodity prices. They stay, they refer, they don't negotiate. But the unit economics don't work. You can't hire, can't invest, can't build what the business needs because the price was set for a different customer, and every deal reinforces that ceiling. By the time it shows in the numbers, you've usually been running the wrong operation for a year or more. Why it's hard to correct. Pricing is already in the market. Change your headline and nobody remembers the old one. Change your price and existing customers notice. Prospects feel baited, and the transition has to be managed explicitly. This is why wrong ICP pricing compounds. Every customer acquired at the wrong price sets an expectation. Every deal at the wrong margin sets a precedent. The longer it runs, the more entrenched it becomes. Not because it's correct, but because changing it carries real relationship and revenue risk. There's also a psychological component to this. Founders who underprice often do it from genuine uncertainty about their own value. That uncertainty doesn't resolve automatically when the business grows and the work gets better. The underpricing becomes comfortable. Raising prices feels like testing a relationship that's working. But a relationship built on the wrong price is built on a mismatch. The client who found you because of that price may not be the client who would have found you at the right one. Those are sometimes the same person. Often, they're not. How to diagnose it. 3 questions worth sitting with. Where does the pricing conversation stall? If it stalls at first mention, the price doesn't match expectations for its customer. But if it stalls after initial interest, but before closing, the value proposition isn't landing for this specific buyer. If it rarely stalls, pay close attention to who those customers are. They're showing you your real ICP's relationship with your pricing. That's the signal worth reverse engineering. Who negotiates and who doesn't? The hardest negotiators are often not your ICP. They're buying on cost, not fit. The ones who don't negotiate have already decided the price is appropriate. What they understand about the value, that the negotiators don't, is usually the signal worth studying. What would your best customers do if you raised the price tomorrow? Not what they would say, but what they would do. The gap between what you charge and what they'd stay for, without argument, is either an opportunity or a validation. Either answer is useful. How to fix it. Anchor corrections to ICP clarity, not competitive pressure. Start with the customers who stayed, referred, and didn't negotiate. Ask them directly, if the price went up meaningfully, what would you do? Not looking for permission, looking for data about where the real ceiling is for the customer who actually buys. Then look at the model. Is the structure matching how your real ICP wants to engage? Wrong structure creates friction no number adjustment resolves. Sometimes the fix isn't the price, it's the shape of the offer. Make changes gradually and transparently. Existing customers deserve to understand the transition. New customers should encounter the correct price from the first conversation. The goal is alignment, not extraction. HP discovered their real ICP through a clearance sale and walked away from it. Basecamp built their ICP signal into their model deliberately from the beginning. The difference was whether they paid attention to the signal. One question before you close this out. Is your price set for the customer you have, or the customer you assumed you'd have? Look at where the pricing conversation stalls. Look at who negotiates and who doesn't. Look at the gap between what you charge and what your best customers would quietly pay without argument. The price you set is a signal. Make sure it's pointed at the right person. If today raised questions about who's actually in the room when someone looks at your price, the ICP Toolkit is a free 15-page download. It walks you through who's actually buying from you and how to build your messaging around them. grayleafmedia.com/find-your-ICP. It's completely free. I'm hoping it will help you figure out who your audience actually is based on your actual customer data. If what we talked about today sounds familiar, if your pricing conversations don't go the way they should, or you're not sure the customers you're attracting are actually the ones you are built to serve, brand therapy is where to start. It's a diagnostic process that helps you see the mismatch clearly before you try to fix it. grayleafmedia.com/diagnostic. Next time, how a wrong ICP breaks your retention. Why the customers you work hardest to keep are sometimes the ones your business was never built to serve well. Until then, look at who's negotiating and who isn't. The answer tells you more about your ICP than most research will.